NFCSF stands for National Federation of Cooperative Sugar Federation, which is an apex body of cooperative sugar mills in India. It represents about 250 cooperative sugar mills across the country and provides various services to its members, such as policy advocacy, market intelligence, technical assistance, and training. NFCSF also publishes regular reports on the production and consumption of sugar in India, based on the data collected from its member mills and other sources. One of the reports that NFCSF releases is the Sugar Output Estimate for the current marketing year, which runs from October to September. The Sugar Output Estimate is an important indicator of the supply and demand situation of sugar in the country, as well as the profitability and viability of the sugar industry. The Sugar Output Estimate is based on the latest information on the production of sugarcane and sugar, as well as the factors affecting them, such as weather conditions, pest infestations, diversion of sugarcane for ethanol production, etc. The NFCSF revises its sugar output estimate periodically, depending on the availability of new data and changes in the situation. The latest revision was made on May 10, 2023, when NFCSF lowered its sugar output estimate to 32.7 million tons for the ongoing 2022-23 marketing year, down from its earlier estimate of 35.5 million tons. The revised estimate represents an 8.88% decline from the actual production of 35.92 million tons in the previous marketing year. The main reason for the downward revision was the lower than expected sugarcane production in Maharashtra, which is one of the top 3 sugar-producing states in the country, along with Uttar Pradesh and Karnataka. Maharashtra suffered from drought and water scarcity in some regions, which affected the yield and quality of sugarcane. As a result, Maharashtra's sugar output has already reached 10.53 million tons as per the estimates, but still lower than 13.73 million tons in the previous year. Another reason for the lower sugar output estimate was the diversion of sugarcane for ethanol production, which is encouraged by the government as a way to reduce dependence on fossil fuels and support the sugar industry. According to NFCSF President Jayaprakash Dandagankar, about 4.5 million tons of sugar is estimated to be diverted for ethanol production in the current marketing year. The NFCSF sugar output estimate is significant because it affects your consumption and pocket in various ways. For example, if the sugar output is lower than the demand, it may lead to a shortage of sugar in the domestic market, which may result in higher prices and lower availability of sugar for consumers. If the sugar output is higher than the demand, it may lead to a surplus of sugar in the domestic market, which may result in lower prices and higher availability of sugar for consumers. If the sugar output is lower than expected, it may affect the profitability and viability of the sugar industry, which may result in lower payments to sugarcane farmers and workers, as well as lower investments in technology and infrastructure. If the sugar output is higher than expected, it may improve the profitability and viability of the sugar industry, which may result in higher payments to sugarcane farmers and workers, as well as higher investments in technology and infrastructure. Therefore, by knowing about NFCSF and how it estimates the sugar output in India, you can have a better understanding of how this affects your consumption and pocket. How does the sugar output affect the supply and demand of sugar in the domestic and international markets? Sugar is one of the most widely consumed commodities in the world, and its production and trade have significant impacts on the economy, environment, and society. The supply and demand of sugar are influenced by many factors, such as weather conditions, crop yields, government policies, consumer preferences, and global market dynamics. One of the major factors that affects the supply and demand of sugar is the output estimate of the sugar-producing countries. The output estimate is a projection of how much sugar will be produced in a given season based on the area under cultivation, the expected yield per hectare, and the recovery rate of sugar from sugarcane or beet. The output estimate helps the sugar industry and the government to plan their production, consumption, export, and import strategies. Recently, the National Federation of Cooperative Sugar Federation, NFCSF, which represents about 250 cooperative sugar mills in India, revised its sugar output estimate lower to 32.7 million tons for the ongoing 2022-23 marketing year ending September, down from its earlier estimate of 35.5 million tons. The revised estimate is also lower by 8.88% from the actual production of 35.92 million tons in the previous marketing year. The NFCSF attributed the lower output estimate to several reasons, such as lower sugarcane acreage due to drought and pest infestation in some states, lower recovery rate due to delayed crushing and lower sucrose content in cane, and higher diversion of sugarcane for ethanol production. According to the NFCSF, about 531 sugar mills in the country have produced 32.03 million tons of sugar till April 30th, with 67 mills still operational. The NFCSF expects the current sugar season to last till the end of May and produce about 32.7 million tons of new sugar. In addition, about 4.5 million tons of sugar is estimated to be diverted for ethanol production. The lower output estimate by the NFCSF has implications for both the domestic and international markets of sugar. On the domestic front, it may create a supply deficit in the Indian market, which consumes about 26 million tons of sugar annually. This may lead to higher prices for consumers and lower profits for millers, who have to pay a minimum support price to farmers for sugarcane. To avoid a shortage situation, the government may have to import sugar from other countries or release buffer stocks from its reserves. On the international front, it may reduce India's export potential in the global market, which is already facing a surplus situation due to higher production by other major producers like Brazil and Thailand. This may affect India's competitiveness and market share in the world market, as well as its foreign exchange earnings. To boost exports, the government may have to provide incentives like subsidies or tax concessions to exporters. Thus, the NFCSF's lower output estimate has significant effects on the supply and demand of sugar in both the domestic and international markets. It reflects the uncertainty and volatility that characterize the sugar industry and its stakeholders. It also highlights the need for better forecasting methods and more efficient management practices to ensure a balance between production and consumption of this vital commodity. The sugar price fluctuates according to the supply and demand of sugar in the market. The supply of sugar depends on the production of sugarcane and sugar by the farmers and mills. The demand for sugar depends on the consumption of sugar by various sectors such as food, beverages, ethanol, etc. One of the factors that affects the supply of sugar is the estimate of sugar output by various agencies, such as the National Federation of Cooperative Sugar Federation, NFCSF. The NFCSF is an apex body of cooperative sugar mills in India that represents about 250 mills across the country. The NFCSF releases its estimate of sugar production based on the latest information on the production of sugarcane and sugar by its member mills. Recently, the NFCSF revised its sugar production estimate lower to 32.7 million tons in the ongoing 2022-23 marketing year ending September from its earlier estimate of 35.5 million tons. The revised estimate is down by 8.88% from the actual production of 35.92 million tons in the previous marketing year. The NFCSF attributed this revision to lower sugarcane availability and diversion of sugarcane for ethanol production. The lower estimate of sugar output by the NFCSF has implications for both consumers and producers of sugar. For consumers, it means that the supply of sugar in the market will be lower than expected, which may lead to higher prices of sugar. Higher prices of sugar may affect the affordability and consumption of sugar by various sectors, especially those that use sugar as a raw material or an ingredient. For example, food and beverage industries may face higher costs and lower profits due to higher sugar prices. For producers, it means that they will have less sugar to sell in the market, which may affect their revenues and incomes. However, they may also benefit from higher prices of sugar, which may improve their profitability and liquidity. Moreover, they may also benefit from diverting sugarcane for ethanol production, which may fetch them higher returns than sugar production. Ethanol is a biofuel that can be blended with petrol and diesel to reduce dependence on fossil fuels and greenhouse gas emissions. Therefore, the NFCSF sugar output estimate affects the consumption and pocket of both consumers and producers of sugar by influencing the supply and demand of sugar in the market and consequently the price of sugar.